Hey y'all, I'm a little bit of a disorganized mess here today because I said I was gonna go live and I sent that notification out, but I forgot to look and see if my phone had any charge. So my phone didn't. It had 30% battery, so I've been, instead of preparing my flowers like I would normally do, I've been hustling trying to figure out to find a way to get a plug in here and get the light going and get the phone going, so everything's backwards to the way that I'm used to working, because the plug-in wouldn't reach from the other side of the room and everything. So I'm a little bit frazzled, but that's okay. I don't mind if you don't mind. So, and I was going to show you, and I'm going to see if this is going to work, because it may or may not. I was going to, how about that? A surprise hidden in the bottom of my bowl. That's what I was looking for. It's what I thought I didn't have. Those are my leftover flowers from the centerpiece that we did last week. Okay, I got this lantern. I've got to try to move everything around and work from my right to left. And I usually work left to right, but my lantern, make sure you can see it. There it is. This is a pretty good size lantern. I want to say probably 18 inches tall, probably 10 inches wide, and it probably weighs close to 10 pounds. It's pretty sturdy. It has an electric candle inside and the battery's dead on it, but the thing I wanted to make sure that you know is the little button that to push to turn it on is in the back. So while I'm working on the flower arrangement, if you're going to work on yours, make sure that the button is in the back, because you don't want to make everything all pretty and give it to somebody and then the button be showing in the front. So think about that ahead of time, of where the button is. Don't know why the battery's dead on it. I guess it got left on. But anyway, make sure the button to turn it on is on this one. It's like a red button like that. And this right here, I believe, tells me how to open it up to get to the inside. And I want to get to the inside because I bought this really cute kind of bubbly Spanish moss kind of stuff that I want to put inside around the candle. But I'm not going to be able to do that tonight because I'm not seeing very well tonight, and I'm not able to get that open. So just know that you can always go back and put some things on the inside of your lantern to decorate it as well, if that's what you decide that you're going to do. And I apologize that my air is clicking on and off, on and off. I just got a brand new central air unit a couple of months ago, and it's a piece of hockey. So there you go. I'll just tell the truth on that one real quick. It's just not working right. And we went in there to look through everything in the attic to go in there and look tonight, and it's actually not insulated well. It's leaking all over the place in there, and it's quite the mess. So this flower arrangement tonight is going to make me feel much better. In case you haven't seen the video that I made a couple of days ago with my supplies, I got 3 good size sunflowers because I'm working on a fall arrangement. These came from Hobby Lobby at their 40% off right now for their fall flowers. Got a little bit of cotton just because this light's pretty bright. Let me see if I can turn that down a little bit. You see it better now? Yep. And I don't know if we'll use this or not, but I've got my glue gun plugged in for that at the end. I've got floral wire in an 18 gauge. That's just, this comes wound around a thing. They had it at the Dollar Tree the other day, wound around a thing. I just happen to have a bunch of it that's straight. And these are called picks, and that's whenever you find something that has already a bunch of cool looking pieces on it, and that's called a pick. And these are really nice to have whenever you're trying to decorate something really quick, because they've already got a variety of things that go together on there, and it saves you a lot of time and effort and money. And I got 3 of those, and then I probably won't use all these, but I got 3 filler flowers, another sort of rustic looking sunflower but small. I got 3 sets of leaves just in some fall colors. And I got a really wide ribbon. This is a 2.5 inch because my lantern is big. So, and I got this set of birds because that's the only good colors that would kind of fall. I didn't need 3 birds, but they came 3 to a pack, so we're going to use that. And I'll show you this really quick. This is what I was afraid I couldn't find. This is some of the Spanish moss left from the other day from our centerpiece arrangement, and this is I think I got this at the Dollar Tree. You can get it at Walmart, Dollar, wherever, what do you call it, Hobby Lobby, wherever you go. I'm going to get out a small handful of it. So I just pulled off a small wad. And I'm just going to start almost trying to kind of tuck it in amongst itself and twist it around like I'm making a donut out of it. Around and around, and I'm tightening and pulling and tightening and pulling. Got a little bit bigger than it needs to be. Try to tuck it in. It's hard to hold it up and do that. But now we have a homemade bird's nest for our bird to sit in if we end up putting him on the arrangement, which we probably will. And you can either run a piece of the wire through it to wire it to the arrangement, or you can hot glue it down. And I'm just gonna try to tighten it up just a tad. This stuff gets everywhere. That's part of it, but there you go. So there's our little bird's nest. We'll put that aside. And I have made a mess with it. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead, hey Teresa, is go ahead and make my bow, because that will sort of, excuse me, be the centerpiece of my arrangement. I think I just inhaled a bunch of that dust from that moss. Excuse me, dang. I'm going to look at the size of the top. I'm going to be tying to this stake part that's coming up in the handle here is what I'm going to be tying my whole arrangement to in a minute, or wiring it to. But I'm going to look at that, and I want my bow to be about as big as the, hey, I'm glad you caught it tonight. I'm going to want my bow to be pretty close to the same size as the top of this. So I'm going to pull some ribbon out, twist around. If you haven't watched the ribbon video from the other day, I'll try to do this one where you can see a little bit. Make sure I'm going to cut this wire in half because I don't need it quite that long in the beginning. So I'm just cutting this wire in half so I'll have half to tie this ribbon off with whenever I'm done. You're going to twist this around, and then I'm holding it on the bottom with a finger, and I'm going to be switching these two fingers out as I go. But I've got my thumb here in the middle, holding it together, and then right now I have both of those down there. This particular ribbon, yeah, this is the ugly side here, and this is the pretty side. You have to look at it really close to see that you can almost see a little bit of glue on one side. So that's the ugly side. Hi, Connie. I got the lantern at Tractor Supply. It was regularly $39.99. Then they had it marked down to $34.99 and then to $29.99. So I got it for $29.99 at Tractor Supply. Thank you. I done messed one up. I went and got my nails done today and jacked one up the first day. I'm going to go see if I can get back in with her this week to at least fix that one. But anyway, so I'm holding that, and I'm going to twist underneath my thumb. Right now, this is the first twist. I'm twisting away from me. This is thick stuff, but I'm twisting away from me, pinching that at the same time. And then now I've got this finger holding my pinch. My thumb's still in the middle, and the pretty side is up. So I'm going to put probably about 6 loops on there, so I can't have my first one be very big. So I know that I'm going to go out at least a couple more times, and I'll usually go out about a 1/2 inch each time. So from the middle, leave it about 1 inch or so going that way. Twist underneath. All your twists always go right on top of each other or right underneath each other. So now I'm twisting away from me, and it's still in that same exact spot under my thumb. And I'm going to make this loop exactly the same size as the other loop was. That's how I test them. Twist, and then go, and then that puts the pretty side up again. I'm back to the other side, and I'm making this loop about a 1/2 inch bigger than the other one. Sort of have to pinch it a little bit under here instead of just twist, because this is so wide. So I'm going to pinch, twist right underneath my last twist, come back up just a little bit bigger, just like I did the other side, pinch, twist, and there, that's going to be 3 and 3. So that's 6 loops. I'm not 100% sure that's enough. I'm going to go ahead and put 4 on each side. Twist and do a 4th one. I want it to be pretty full. Even though it's only going to come to the front of the lantern, we still have to have a little bit of something covering the back of the lantern so that it, you know, looks complete and professional. I've pinched that underneath. Now this is going to be for my tails. I'm going to twist it around to the pretty sides up. I'm going to want my tails to be almost as long as my lantern, so I'm going to go ahead and cut them to begin with, almost as long as my lantern, and because I can trim them a little bit later if I need to. So that's going to be the bottom. I'm going to want twice that much to come back up. And I like 3 tails, so I'm going to give it a little bit extra. And that's just something I've always done, was like to have 3 tails under there instead of 2. So I'm just pinching now the rest of that under there, grabbing that piece of wire that I just cut in half. I'm going to go in that loop where my thumb is still at, been the whole time. See that? How all those twists are just one right after the other, after the other, after the other. That's what keeps the bow straight. And I put that wire right through the middle, and I'm pulling it down the bottom. I'm going to pull it as tight as I can through there. And twist. And now I can let go with the other hand, because this has it held. It's there, and I've got my finger stuck in between that wire into there. I'm going to twist that about 3 times to get it good and tight. Now that's a good safe bow, and you just sort of pull one way and one the other on all the little loops, and I've got it twisted pretty tight. And this is a wired ribbon, so you can always fluff these out and change the shape of them and where they're at as needed. Okay, but I'm going to cut this bottom loop, because remember I gave an extra one. So you always cut these at an angle. And then I'm going to set this aside, but that's going to be my centerpiece in a minute. And I should have cut I'm pulling all these price tags off of my stuff here. Should have had it done already, but like I said, I was running around the house looking for an extension cord, because my dang phone was almost dead. Like, well, that's not going to be good. I won't get 5 minutes on there. When we're thinking about this, we're going to be making 2 sides to the arrangement. We're going to make one a little bit longer and one a little bit shorter, and they're going to be pretty close to the same. Thicker toward the middle, thinner as it goes out, but we're going to, when we put it on the lantern, we're going to put the shorter side on top and the longer side this way, so that it'll be able to drape down the lantern a little bit. I'm surprised how easy these tags are coming off. I don't feel like I'm going to need all of these, so I'm going to put one aside, and I can pull that off in a minute if I need to. These are all so easy to spot right now in these tags, but when I'm in the middle of Hobby Lobby, I can't find a price on anything, anytime, anywhere. I don't know why I have so much trouble finding that, but they had these picks in the fall section were 40% off, and so all of this stuff was 40% off, except the birds, and even that ribbon was a fall ribbon, so it was 40% off. And I thought about mixing in some of this buffalo check, but I'm just going to stick with the plain one. That way, if you decide to do one too, you don't have to run out and buy 50 things or feel like you got to buy 50 things to make one. But you can always add more to it if you want, and you can always use more than one color of ribbon. Any of those things that you want to do, you can do. But we're kind of keeping it simple. And I picked up this floral tape. If we use this in a minute, this is cool stuff to have. This is also a Dollar Tree find. Okay. Looking at my 3 picks here. This one is, let's even them up at the bottom. Definitely my tallest one, so that's going to be heading toward the bottom. And my shortest one is this one, so I'm going to have that one heading up toward the top, and this one just going through the middle because it's mid-size, so that'll be the middle centerpiece. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time fluffing these out, because I'll fluff them out at the end. But you do want to look at them all, because they will have what's called a face. They'll have a pretty side. You don't want to end up spending a lot of time putting it in your arrangement and then turn around and look and all your leaves are backwards, and takes you a little bit more time. Okay, this is the shortest one, so that's my top one. I'm gonna add a sunflower to that because that is my focal flower, and I'm just laying it right on top of it. I have this heavy stem in my hand, and I have laying this stem just right on top of it and holding it in my hand. I'm gonna go ahead and put the second sunflower in, and I'm gonna bend this a little bit, or a lot actually. I bent it to an L so that it can also be there at the top but still fit flat in my hand at the edge here. I'm going to go ahead and come in and stick one of these long skinny ones behind that. And a set of leaves behind that. And I'm basically through with that end. That's the top. I'm going to go ahead and take that little piece of short wire that I had a while ago, and I'm going to go all the way up here to the top where my stems are meeting at, and wire that on real tight. And I'm just twisting it around there. And I'm going to open that floral tape because I wouldn't want somebody, because this will be for sale, I would know where to handle it at because I'm making it. But since I'm going to be putting it for sale, I'm going to go, and it has that loose wire on it, I'm going to go ahead and open this tape. And it's got a little piece of plastic over it, of course. I can't see it. This tape, when you get it, is, you're going to think at first, oh my goodness, I got a bad one. It's just flimsy and there's no sticky to it. But this is actually like waxed paper. It's similar to washi tape, but there's no sticky on it at all, but it's waxed. So you pull it and you stretch it, and when you stretch it, that activates and loosens up the wax that's on there, and now it's sticky and it'll stick to my flowers. So let's see if I can do this where you can see. I'm gonna just use my thumb and stick it on there over that wire that I just put on that's holding it together, and I'm just gonna pull and twist and pull and twist, and I'm just putting this tape all around these stems to hold all these stems together and protect anybody's fingers from that wire sticking them, and then you just pull it off. So now, even though that had no sticky on it, it's stuck on there, and it's stuck on there with that wax. So now I'm going to be going to the other end. I'm going to do it separate so that y'all can see it that way. This was the longest one of the picks. I'm going to stick one of these flowers behind it because that's a little bit longer. And stick a leaf behind it, but a little farther up, not in the long end. I'm going to come a little farther up with the leaves because they're going to, we're going to want this stem to be the longest. This is a little shorter. Then we're going to want to put a sunflower on that end, but once again, I'm going to bend that sunflower at its head so that its little face will be facing up from this arrangement, because once we put these on top, I'm going to want them to be the focal point coming out of the bow there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another wire and wire this together. Except I lost my wire cutters. Put this ribbon to the floor because I don't need it. Cut that wire in half because you just don't need to have to deal with that many pointy ends. Same thing as I did before. I'm going to stick the wire through right there next to the head to hold it tight there. Twist it around and then pull it down. And now that's essentially got all that wired and held together, and I'm going to use the tape to run down it. And you don't have to stretch this ahead of time. I was just showing y'all that this does stretch. What you would do would be put it underneath here and have your thumb hold it down, hold down the beginning of the piece like that, and then you stretch and pull as you go. So then you don't have a whole lot of it already stretched out, like laying around and wasted. And just twisting. I'm holding the tape still and holding it through these fingers here and twisting the arrangement. Okay, so now this is the bottom. This is the top. So we're going to put them this way, but we still have a little bit of the middle to worry about. And I left, and what I'm doing is button these two ends up together and leaving a good, I've got my whole fist in there. I'm leaving a good amount of space there. My bow's going to go there for one. So let's go ahead and put that in. That'll make life easier for us. I'm going to, because I cut these wires so short while ago for my bow, I'm going to go ahead and wire my bow in, tape it in on the inside of my short piece, my top piece. And I'm going to tape it in just like I did everything else earlier to hold those wires on there. Try to see if I can make it where y'all can see that, but it's so tight in here. I'm holding those wires here, putting that tape through. And honestly, the one you get at the Dollar Tree is not near as good as the one you get at the floral supply store. But I'm doing my best here, and ain't no sense in going and paying, you know, $5 for one to use a time or two when you can get it for $1 and not have to waste it. Just want to get that wired in there really good. I've got my glasses on top of my head, which would help, but I can't see with the light. But if I didn't have this light on, then y'all wouldn't be able to see. So I'm still doing the same thing. I'm just twisting and I'm pulling and stretching this tape as I go so that it becomes sticky. My fingers are actually sticking together now from the wax a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to come back in with the long one, come in from the other end and kind of butt them together. Can you see that? And then I'm going to tape here in the middle. Same thing, tape it together. If I can do that without knocking my bow off. Cut that. Almost feel like I'm doing this, well I am doing this mostly left-handed because of having the light and the phone on the wrong side of me. Luckily I can mostly use both hands like that. Fixing to pull my bow out. It's just not working. I'm going to put these together and then come back in and put the bow in. And I just pulled that out from under the tape. It wasn't a big deal. Okay. I'm going to take another piece of the ribbon. This will be the piece that I tie around it that also ties onto the center piece here. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the center since it's hard to get to. I'm turning that over. Can't tell what for sure y'all can see. I'm going to lay this on. Well, you can see, huh? Laying that on the table, and I'm just tying this on. That's all I'm doing. Tying it on and pulling tight. Okay. I'm going to go with the longer wire on my ribbon. Just going to go right back through the middle of my ribbon and put on a longer wire so that I can get it on there easier. Twist, twist, twist. That's just to hold it on. Now I'm going to put the wires together so that they don't stick anybody, and I'm going to tape them up. This is how you would do little flowers if you were making a corsage or something like that, or a boutonniere for a wedding. A lot of times if you've paid attention to those, you think, oh, well, there's the flower and the stems and all that. but the majority of the time, whether it's silk flowers or whether it's fresh flowers, that's not actually the stems that are in the boutonniere and corsage. That's actually wires that have been put through the flowers and taped so that it takes off a lot of the weight, so you're not having, you know, if it was big stems from your flowers, it would pull it down a lot more. Try to get a little bit closer. This is just plumb awkward doing it backwards. Just flip that around until it gets on there good. Cut it off. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with my bow in between the top and the bottom here, and because this wire is already wrapped in floral tape, I'm just going to wrap it around these stems to hold the bow on there. And now I have still this one that was going to go in the middle, and I'm going to come in right behind my bow. I'm looking for a gap, and there's my gap right behind my bow, and I'm going to push that in. There's the stem to it. I'm going to bring it up to my other stems, and I have, see how it's sort of ugly back behind? You can see these are called the mechanics. You can see the tape in the stems there. I'm going to take, you know what, I'm going to save these. I'm going to tape that in, and then we'll do that in a minute. There's always more than one way to do something. You could at this point, and a lot of times I would, if I would have had more sets of leaves, I would have went ahead and put one in to hide those mechanics now. But I'm about to attach this to the lantern, and I may need, once I fluff it out, I may need some leaves to tuck in here and there in the bow. So I'm going to save those leaves just in case I need them. This tape just really is not as good as the regular florist tape. Okay, now look at it one more time. That's top, that's bottom. I'm gonna see if I can turn this around this way. I know it's crooked. This hopefully won't be but a second. I've got the long pieces here where I tied this on the back, and I'm gonna tie it to here now with my short one at the top and my long one at the bottom. And I'm just tying it on with a tie. I'll go back there and I'll turn it around to where you can see in a minute. Right now I just want it sturdy. The whole point is for it to be sturdy. Let's see if I can turn it around for you to see. See, there's where I just tied it on, and it's tight and sturdy. I'm going to bring that this way. I'm going to tie a little bow right there. That's going to help hide some of those mechanics. And that's just a regular bow, but you can fluff it out a little bit. And that'll look pretty kind of hanging from the back. We're going to go back around and worry about the front. Okay. Now I'm going to try to bend these down to where they are closer, to have a little bit of swerve to them and be a little bit closer to the lantern, and spread them out a little bit. And this part, the people who make floral arrangements like this for us, what they call bushes, who make the bushes and things for us, already put these things at varying lengths and designs for us, so they do a lot of the good work for us. We just kind of have to spread it out. I'm going to want the face of my sunflower forward. Then we're going to twist this around. We've got this poor sunflower mashed here underneath. I'm going to bring that up and have this one facing toward the air. Here's our mid-pick. Well, pulled it out. I'm going to hot glue it back in. I'm glad my toe wasn't down there. Okay, and what I tried to pick was a bow that matched sort of the deeper accent colors that were in the picks and in the leaves. Just leave that there a minute. Pull this down a little more. These already look pretty good where they're at, but there's some really pretty berries and things in there, and I want to make sure that they kind of get seen. There's one of them. You get that now and then. See that white spot? That's where one of the berries was busted. Ain't a dang thing I can do about that. So I'm going to hide it with a leaf. I try my best to look at every berry on every arrangement. That looks very pretty to me. Whenever I get it, to make sure that it doesn't have those spots. But, you know, then they stick it all in a sack and you tote it home and hide it from your husband in the trunk of the car and sneak it upstairs and all those other cool things that happen in girl life. And, okay, so now we have our bird still, our bird's nest, another set of leaves, and potentially these flowers here and some moss if we need it, and the cotton. I forgot about the cotton. So, you want it to look like some things are coming out of your bow. So, we're going to go with, and the birds come with a wire like this in the bottom. So, I'm going to stick that wire right through the middle of my bird nest there. And I'm going to kind of double it up because that's a very thin one. And I'm going to fill this up with hot glue down there over that wire and through the moss, and then I'm going to stick it up in the middle of that bow. So it's going to be holding the bird in there for me, it's going to be holding the moss in there for me, and it's going to be making my bow look a little fancier. Now my bird's looking out this direction and he's in there for good. Now you don't always have to leave your leaves and flowers together, and these usually will slide a little bit. Let me see if it happens with that paper. Okay, these will slide a little bit up and down the stem to where you have a little bit of stem left to where you can have something to glue down. So this one set of leaves, when it's all mashed up there together, is actually 4 sets of leaves when I pull them apart. So I'm going to cut them into the 4 pieces right now so that I can glue them into 4 different places. And I don't need much. I want to make sure you can see that. I don't need much wire above the leaves because that's not important, but I have to have something to glue in with. So I'm going to be cutting just above the leaves on all of these. I'm leaving myself some stem. Now when you look at these, they're going to have been shaped in larger, medium, smaller, farther apart, and then to the smallest. So you want to think about that when you're placing them in your arrangement as well. So your smallest leaves normally would be at the tips of your arrangements, and your larger leaves would be in the center of your arrangement. So I'm going to start with my larger ones because I know I want something coming out of my bow. So I'm just going to stick some hot glue on here and just have that sticking it in that bow. Here's a medium set, and I'm going to go to the back of the bow because I know I need something back there. Just put more glue on. Ooh, I didn't get enough on there. Sticking that right in the back of the bow so it has a little bit of variance in the height of the leaves there. Got one more. I'm going to turn it around because I know I've got this semi-naked area back here that needs something, so I'm definitely can use my leaves for that. Stick one in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and use and cut off some of these, and I'm going to cut them off individually as well. You can peel them apart usually when they're like this, and you can see they used similar to a floral tape to put this together to begin with. So I'm going to use these to decorate the back part of the arrangement. And cut them off kind of short because I don't need it sticking out all willy-nilly there. Deep in there and give it a little bit of hangover. Not a margarita hangover, but a floral hangover. How about that? More glue. And I can see a lot of the mechanics right there. I can see a good bit of the tape and the wire. So I'm going to stuff those flowers in there to hide that. Here's a price sticker I missed. Oh, how about that? I pulled the whole dang thing off. We'll just leave it off and cut that off. Hoping that I don't run out of glue before I'm done here. Looking at the other end, I'm going to go right up in the middle there with that one. Right up and coming out of my bow. Now I have this one little flower that I saved. Just look for a spot that needs a little bit of color. Glue it and stick it. Back. Here's our front. And I don't know why I think cotton is like in right now. And let me see if I can show you something. This is actual cotton. Pretty impressed. But here's what I was thinking. Oh, I'm going to glue some cotton here and there. But this is what I was telling you earlier about the flowers. Have a piece of wire. I'm going to stick that wire through the cotton. Bend it down. Bent that in half now. You see it? And I'm going to use this floral tape and give it a stem. And that way it doesn't have to be, it can be glued a little farther out and it doesn't have to be glued exactly right down to something. So see, I'm twisting that. And now I just made a flat piece of cotton that came with a whole bag for $3.99 into a cotton with a stem. Hey, Deanna. So let's see, where do we want this cotton? And I didn't need that long stem. I just wanted to show you how to do that. So I'm going to cut it off about that long. I'm going to give it about probably 3 inches or so there. And it really doesn't need a lot of cotton, but I'm going to put some, just maybe 3 pieces around the center and the bow area, just to give it that little extra something something. I don't know if I got that good or not. I didn't. I'm about out of glue and I'm being all stingy with it, because I don't want you to have to wait on me to remember where in the heck I put the rest of the glue sticks. I used to have a little container right here, but I rearranged my room and now I don't remember where anything's at. So there's one piece of cotton. I think I'll put another one right here. And remember that we do things in threes or odd numbers, because that's what's the most pleasing to the eye. We got a little bird right there. I'm going to put this third piece of cotton right there, I think. Fluff out that flower, and then I've still got this small set of leaves, and I'm going to put them coming out from underneath that last piece of cotton. And this is going to be the last, that's the last of my glue. See if I can sop it up off of the table there. I'm going to stick that in. Ouch, that was hot. Dang, almost said a bad word. Okay, so that's pretty simple and pretty quick. I don't know if you can see the whole thing. Well, let's do something with these. Okay, I'm going to cut this one off kind of short, because you want to be able to see inside, your whatever you put inside, which this one has the candle in it. So I'm cutting the tails to where this one's a little shorter to stay up there by everything, and these two sort of, I'm going to go even shorter with that and cut it at a point. Now, so that frames out the candle inside, and there it is. I hope you enjoyed it. I thank you for joining me tonight, and if you make a fall arrangement on a lantern, I hope that you'll share the picture with me here. Thanks. See if I can... See, there's our buttoning back to turn it on and off. Our long side. And our short side. Bye, y'all.